Hi, and welcome to the Diamond Report for Sunday, April 30th, 2017. This is your host, Doug Diamond. It's currently 10:06 p.m. and we're looking at Earthquake 3D, the last 48 hours of earthquakes, magnitude 5.0 and greater. There's a 4.9 in there that I see, but it's basically 5.0 and greater worldwide. That's over the last 2 days. I wanted to show you how many magnitude 5s we've had across the globe just in the last 48 hours. It seems like quite a few to me. As I've mentioned before, the darker pink rings are a little bit older, and the white to beige rings are the new ones. So, as you can see, it's kind of roughly half and half, I guess. But it's, again, that's still just the last 48 hours. If I back this off to the last week, now we're looking at everything magnitude 5.0 and greater, magnitude 5.0 and greater worldwide. So you can see that the 6s and 7s and stuff are in there now, which there have not been any that large in the last couple of days. So anyway, a lot of activity. Typically what we would look at would be the last 48 hours of anything 2.0 and greater worldwide, and that's what we're looking at here. You know, quite a bit of activity. I'm not really seeing anything that I need to report on specifically. We've got, you know, another deep one in Fiji. That's all pretty normal. I don't really see anything too crazy. We've got some swarms going on, sort of like normal as well. For the most part, it looks like basic transfer from one place to another across the globe, just like we always see. Nothing major to report, so let's go on to the headlines. Japan, strong eruption at Sakurajima volcano, ash plume going up to 14,000 feet above sea level. The Japan Meteorological Agency said it is the first such eruption this year and the first of such strength since July of last year. That is on watchers.news. An outlandish surgeon who aims to perform the first head transplant just gave a rat a second head. Well, again, I wonder if that rat happens to live in Washington, D.C. Seems to be where most of the large two-headed rats are. Europe. What happens to Christians there will come here. In the Middle East, Christianity is over in Iraq due to Islamic extremism, and in Europe, Christianity is committing suicide. That's on gatestoneinstitute.org. From The Intercept, U.S. signals possible airstrikes in Somalia by asking aid groups for their locations. 10 reasons millennials are backing away from God and Christianity. It's long been recognized that experience with an earthly father deeply informs the perspective about the heavenly Father. The fortunes of religion rise or fall with the state of the family. That's from Fox News. USA is no longer America. Those who rally behind the modern concept of America rally behind a facade. That's on concerneduspatriots.com. And from Pastor Paul Begley, breaking, Russia puts air defense on high alert. That's a YouTube video. From the Daily Mail, inside Kim Jong-un's camps of death. Former North Korean female guard reveals the horrors she saw in secret prisons where thousands face being starved, beaten, raped, and butchered. 5 dead after 3 tornadoes strike east of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Christianity Today magazine on why some Christians will embrace transhumanism and genetically modify their children with cloud eater technology. Apple's AI expert says the rise of augmented superhumans is near and inevitable, but some see mankind being wiped out by Cloud Eater's technology. That's on Skywatch TV. Leaked documents reveal the NSA spying on scientists to find nefarious genetic research. Steve says looking for the missing links in the DNA of the fallen angel's offspring is what this is all about. That's on Gizmodo.com. The war against truth and truth-tellers. Unless we unite and push back against these broad, insidious, and deliberately obscure Alinsky tactics that promote a communist agenda to silence the truth, there might be no one left to speak. That's on HomelandSecurityUS.com. While the mainstream media grades President Trump and Americans grade the media, how do Trump supporters grade themselves for the first 100 days? That's on All News Pipeline. I've been commenting about Trump on and off for, well, really the whole time I've been doing the report. Just know that I'm very dubious about everything going on right now, and I do think the deep state has a deep hold on President Trump. I don't think they did through the campaign leading into inauguration. However, now I think whatever's happened has totally changed him. I don't think he was a ringer. I don't think he has been on the deep state's side this whole time at all. I happen to believe that he was on the right side, and I think part of him still is, but I think that he loves his family too much to see any sort of threats against their lives come to fruition. So he's going to do whatever the deep state tells him to do as a puppet at this point, primarily because he doesn't want to lose his own life or that of his family. So I do think it comes back to that. That does not mean that he's making the right choices. I think there's a lot of bad choices being made right now, including World War III, which looks like where we're headed. More than 65,500 earthquakes have hit central Italy within 9 months, and it's not close to stopping. 100 to 150 tremors shake the region on average each day. Yeah, we've covered that a bit in the earthquake updates that I've shown you from time to time, where I show you swarms of 2s and 3s and 4s hitting Italy routinely. I mean, pretty much every single day. So this headline is correct. If you want to know more about what's happening in Italy, definitely follow Dutch Sense on YouTube and Twitch. The real reason for attacking North Korea. The Middle East wars really were about forcing the world into dollars in private central banking. This is from Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show. Yeah, back to what I was saying about Trump and making some of the wrong choices. I think this is part of it. If indeed they're willing to attack North Korea for the purpose of forcing them back onto the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency and or the central banking system. That's the reason that we go to war primarily now. So it would not surprise me one bit that the deep state has Trump in their back pocket, essentially. From the Daily Mail, Kim Jong-un threatens to sink U.S. aircraft carrier and turn U.S. naval submarine into an underwater ghost if they get any closer to North Korea. Major anomalies detected in jaw-dropping superstorm making its way across America. Has this beast been weaponized? I mentioned this in yesterday's report. I said, when I showed you the picture of the storm from the Texas Panhandle to New York, I said at that time that it was a geoengineered wonder. And I said, have a look at it in all its geoengineered glory. It clearly is geoengineered because it would be unnatural for a storm that size to even assemble itself. You know what I mean? It has to be weaponized to some degree. I'm not saying it's 100% weaponized, but I do think there are systems involved that can weaponize it, such as next-red radar and HARP-type technologies and the use of microwaves and floating moisture from one place to another, which they can easily do with geoengineering. So I do think that's what's going on. While the latest news cycle about Rice was in relation to the wiretapping of Trump and his team, that is the least of her crimes. Her warmongering influence extends from our intervention in Libya all the way to African genocide in the 90s. That's on thelastgreatstand.com. Fires burning near Fukushima plant. Officials ask Japan government to send in troops to help fight the blaze. Strong winds hindering firefighters. That's on enenews.com. Terror warning. Active plots uncovered by police as militants plan to massacre Britons. Terror plots designed to murder Britons on the streets of London are being investigated by police after 2 were foiled in the Capitol last week. That's on the Express. The deep state, digital slaves, the secret space program, and why the one world currency is almost here. This is on faith-happens.com. Trump touts achievements and blames Dems for disappointments, blasts the media in 100-day rally. It's on Zero Hedge. Well, to me that sounds pretty much like any other president's first 100 days, except for blasting the media. Most of them don't do that. Trump does do a good job at that. I'll give him credit for that one. Panic bank run leaves Canada's largest alternative mortgage lender on the edge of collapse. Also on Zero Hedge. Pyongyang slams Israel as, quote, disturber of peace armed with illegal nukes under U.S. patronage. That's on RT.com. Trump invites Philippines Duterte to Washington to develop warm post-Obama relations. U.S. troops deployed at Syrian border to prevent clashes between Turkish and Kurdish forces. The dead are the lucky ones. Ex-North Korean guard reveals details of Kim Jong-un's camps, as I mentioned earlier. This one's on the Express. I will not be happy. Trump warns North Korea against another nuclear test while refusing to rule out military response in wake of Kim's failed missile launch. 5 dead and nearly 50 people hospitalized after tornado hits East Texas and leaves trail of overturned vehicles, mangled trees, and damaged homes. Obamacare is dead, says Trump, as he blasts leaderless and obstructionist Democrats for being only interested in themselves. Yes, that's true. However, many of the Republicans are in the same camp. Again, we have really just one party at the national level, and that party is globalist. Climate change protesters canceled march in Colorado after snowstorm dumps over 1 foot of snow. That's on the Gateway Pundit. What they don't tell you is that that snowstorm is chemically ice nucleated. It's geoengineered. Freemasons won't tell you that they worship Lucifer as the light bearer of the world. Well, that's because they don't at the lower levels of Freemasonry. It's at the upper levels that happens. Leaked memo, airport border guards ordered to turn a blind eye to illegal immigrants. That's on Breitbart. I actually have a book about this subject. California company caught using recycled pets in dog food. And here's the book I mentioned, Dead Pets Don't Lie by Joe Artis. It's available on skywatchtvstore.com. It's listing it here at $19.95. I think you can get it a little cheaper than that if you buy it in a package deal, or you might be able to find it on Amazon or somewhere a little cheaper. But if we scroll down here, how euthanized and diseased animals, including dogs and cats from vet clinics, are making their way into pet food and the danger that presents to your animals. You know, that's one topic covered in this book. So it's a good read. Highly recommended. Missouri Medical School may lose accreditation for being too white. That's on Information Liberation. Like terrorist attack or hosting Olympics, UK braces for election cyber attacks. That's on RT.com. And on Zero Hedge, Iranian TV CEO assassinated in Istanbul. Trump's security advisor reveals U.S. will teach North Korea a lesson for open defiance. That's on the Express. See, if you defy the USA, we will come get you. Can you believe these people? North Korea Live. Latest news as Kim Jong-un threatens war on Donald Trump. Why don't we just take each one of them, give them boxing gloves, put them in a ring, and let them duke it out? I would pay to watch that. I don't know about you. I would love to see Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump in a ring together. Trump's new Secretary of Labor let Lolita Express billionaire off with a wrist slap. That is not good. Watch, man shows the power of remaining silent while being harassed by cops. That's on the Free Thought Project. The relentless push towards war. That's on Zero Hedge. 35 million strong strike against Temer's neoliberal reforms bring Brazil to a halt. That's on Global Research. I mentioned this yesterday. Oh boy, I know you were waiting for this. CNN is now offering advice on how to approach your kids about being transgender. That's on Natural News. 10 babies were infected with a superbug, and the hospital concealed it from the parents and the public. Also on Natural News. 30 cities on the brink of chaos. Don't be here when the SHTF. That's on prepperfortress.com. 2/3 of Americans think the Democratic Party has lost touch with the nation. That's on Zero Hedge. Bullish Trump renews his battle with the incompetent media as he mocks boring White House Correspondents' Dinner he snubbed and boasts that his first 100 days rally attracted much better people. I wouldn't disagree with that. Comedian Hassan Minhaj, big flop at White House Correspondents' Dinner. That's on the Gateway Pundit. Ann Coulter says taxpayers supporting leftist thugs that have taken over universities. That's on Breitbart. Russian nuke tsunami. Putin's subs planting deep-sea bombs ready to obliterate the U.S. That's on dailystar.com. Part-time job for ex-president. Obama slammed for being paid $400,000 by bankers. That's on Sputnik News. Vaccine industry goes nuclear in push for new law that would deny you your job if you aren't vaccinated. That's on Natural News. Miserable end. North Korea threatens to sink U.S. nuclear submarine in South Korea. It's on RT.com. And from Breitbart, ESPN's death spiral will not be halted by mass layoffs. Nuclear war or civil war, the big cities will become cauldrons of violence and death, but you can survive. That's on Natural News. And from Dave Hodges, Putin is the only leader calling for peaceful resolution in North Korea. Why? Detroit is a stark reminder peak America was over 50 years ago. That's on Zero Hedge. The real WMD in Syria, the West's weapon of mass disorientation. Contagion fears rise in aftermath of home capital group collapse. Congress reaches deal to keep government open through September. Again, darn. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster says the country should be prepared for military operations in North Korea. Of course we should. That's what the deep state wants. It is becoming illegal to be homeless in America as Houston, Dallas, and dozens of other cities pass draconian laws. That's on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Snyder. And on the Liberty Beacon, have you done your research and you still vaccinate? That's a good question. There's absolutely no reason to be vaccinating your kids or yourself or anyone or anything else. Vaccination has never worked. It's been a 200-plus year scam since Jenner in the late 1700s. If you don't believe me, I would suggest listening to our radio show, Lost Arts Radio, where we get into this topic all the time. We have very credible guests who come on and talk about how vaccination is and always has been a scam. So, you know, there's plenty of other information out there as well, but that's one source I can think of off the top of my head. And I'm not the host of the show. I'm the producer and engineer. The host is Richard Sachs. He's been investigating vaccines nearly his whole life and looking into this whole issue for about roughly 5 decades. So he knows what he's talking about. And on Infowars.com, IRS tax fraud prevention program costs taxpayers $18.2 million, but it doesn't work. That's on Free Beacon. In 1 year, opiates killed 10 times as many Americans as all terror attacks in the last 20 years. That's on the Free Thought Project. And from the Daily Caller, former federal prosecutor says liberal media bias got Trump elected. Mainstream media were so drunk with adulation that they abdicated their responsibilities. A former SEAL says, take down the pedophile elite. Attempt at documentary film has already been met with pushback. And from Paul Joseph Watson, doing the OK hand sign is racist. Prominent Trump supporters smeared as white supremacists Vow to sue. Okay? And of course, today is April 30th. This day in 1945, Hitler supposedly committed suicide, thus ending World War II. I put together this little graphic and posted this on Facebook last night at, I don't know, 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning. This day in history, April 30th, 1945, Hitler did not die in the bunker and was in fact already on his way to Argentina several days prior, being seen by numerous people along the way. Stalin and Churchill both knew he didn't die, yet we were told he did so the world could move on past World War II. Totally fabricated. Zero proof, only blurry pictures taken by the Russians, ashes, and a female skull. They just wanted it to end, folks. Hitler lived on for many years thereafter. The History Channel, of course, officially supports the lie that he died on April 30th, 1945. However, their own documentary series unequivocally disproves this, referring to Hunting Hitler. If you haven't seen that, you got to watch it. It's great. Another fun fact, the swastika represented the black sun, and Hitler's graphic design department did not invent the swastika. The Nazis just co-opted the symbol for their use, but it had been around as an ancient religious symbol for thousands of years. Now, after posting this on my scene.life page, there was a comment from a friend on there. She said, "I have heard many people claim this, but why would it matter? He has been long gone by now anyways, unless they are keeping his remains frozen, which is possible, I suppose. I am sure they have his DNA on record somewhere." And my response to her comment was, yes, DNA would be very important, and I guarantee that's being kept somewhere, taken by those who knew that he lived after April 30th, 1945. Just as a sidebar, one of those people would be, of course, Joseph Mengele. And there were many scientists who made their way to South America as well. So any of those people could have extracted DNA from Hitler upon his real death sometime after 1945, probably in the 1970s. From there, Hitler's goal was to create a Fourth Reich. You had Operation Paperclip, which brought untold Nazi scientists into the U.S. and other Western countries, which has been the basis for the new assault on humanity, quote, science, which means pharma, engineered diseases, GMOs, pesticides, NASA, and brainwashing the U.S. population into believing what the state says. So that would be like propaganda, essentially. All that came from the Nazi ideas, which was originally directed by Hitler. And if he lived, he was able to build this Fourth Reich without people even knowing it existed, because it was covert. Not to mention the cover-up and cover-over of history. By lying about his death and prematurely ending the war, people instantly had a false sense of security and left their guards down, enabling the power structure and military-industrial complex to move in and begin building its own infrastructure, which of course is where we are now. So, the epiphany here, though, is that Hitler's Fourth Reich, which he did live to see, because he did not die in the bunker, the Fourth Reich is now what we call the military-industrial complex. It's that simple. Baby's health rapidly declines after receiving 13 vaccines at one time. Mom accused of abuse for disagreeing with doctors. Is a drug you're taking on the FDA's serious risk list? That's from Healthy Lifestyle Arena. Timely and urgent, say no to small cell invasion. Take action. This is from StopSmartMeters.org. That's about cell towers and cell phones. New film exposes shaken baby syndrome myth. Opponents want to silence it at film festivals. And action alert. Let the USDA APHIS know your opinion about the release of genetically engineered diamondback moths and genetically engineered eucalyptus trees. And here's a diamondback moth here. This is from Institute of Responsible Technology. And one more pertinent article, CDC updates immunization schedule. New Gardasil doubles aluminum, which of course aluminum is an adjuvant that they add to the vaccine. The new HPV vaccine is called 9V-HPV. So please folks, do not let your kids get these vaccines. They're deadly. Gardasil is particularly bad. It says here, the World Health Organization has found that the death rate from cervical cancer is actually 2.5 times lower than the very serious complications and side effects documented from the HPV vaccine. In some parts of the world, the HPV vaccine risks are as much as 4 times higher than that of cervical cancer death rate. Now, all this is assuming that the vaccine actually helps with or prevent cervical cancer, which it does not and it cannot. And for the best freebie of the day, download the book Vaccine Illusion for free. You'll get immediate access to the ebook. Regular price is $20. This is brought to you by Green Med Info, and all you have to do is click on this image right here and it will take you to their website where you can sign up. It's called Vaccine Illusion, How Vaccination Compromises Our Natural Immunity and What You Can Do to Regain Your Health. And it's normally $20. Again, you just click this button here. You put in your name and your email address and click this button and you'll instantly get a link to download it. And it will also give you another little surprise. I won't give it away here, but I would highly recommend doing this. I did this myself earlier today, and you know, it's a free book that you can use in the battle against or for vaccine awareness and battle against the ridiculousness that they are safe and effective, because they're neither. Okay, well, that's it for the Diamond Report today. Thanks for listening and watching. If you disagree with anything I said here, that's your tough luck, and I really don't care. So if you don't like my sources, then don't watch the Diamond Report. Just unsubscribe from my channel now. I really don't care, folks. It's not my problem. If you have a problem with what I use as a source, then don't listen to me. It's real simple. You don't need to send me messages telling me how I need to wake up and so forth. No, you need to wake up and unsubscribe or whatever you need to do. Unlike my page. So just do what you think you have to do. Have a nice day, and I'll see you tomorrow.